just mention his name, it's like, yo, you know what I mean? They back up.
Here's how the story goes. We find out by the treasure in the grand line. There's no doubt. The pirate whose eye is on it, he'll sing. I'll be king of the pirates. I'm gonna be king.
This is Shawn of ShawnConrad.com. But you might know me as the rapper voice on the theme song of One Piece.
There's no stopping Robin, the archaeologist. Get it right, ship right, build with Frankie. Brooke, let it play at the helm.
I've personally recorded Will Ferrell, Will Arnett, J.K. Simmons, Rosie Perez.
His name's Olo, he's just like a samurai and a L-A-D-Y. Nami's not shy. Usopp's doing that marksman thing. Sanji's cooking, Chopper's doctoring.
So what's good, y'all? Welcome back to another video. And in this video, we got a special treat. If you can't tell by the title already, we got the man, the myth, the legend, the One Piece god for a lot of y'all growing up as kids that are probably millennials. We have Shawn Conrad, young FreshCo, the creator of the One Piece for Kids rap. So before we get this interview underway, if you have not already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel as well as hit that notification button to get notified for more content that I put out. As well, if you end up enjoying this video, be sure to hit me with a like and leave a comment and let us know your thoughts on this interview. We're going to learn a lot about Shawn today. So without any further ado, let's just get into it, y'all.
If she ain't got a butt, fucking get into it, yo.
Shawn, what's going on?
Hey, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm blessed. Happy to be here. I'm excited about doing this and I'm ready to chop it up.
Yeah, you are doing me one of the biggest favors in the world. I would never have thought that I would have the opportunity to talk with somebody as legendary as you. I'm not sure you're aware of your impacts on the One Piece community as well as the anime community. And honestly, I think most people in my age group, life when it comes to what you've done with your work. Yeah. So before we get too deep into it, let's let people know who is Shawn Conrad.
Wow, that question brings forth a lot of thought because there's so many different levels. There's people who know me, like you said, as the One Piece rapper on One Piece. There's people who know me from the hip hop industry. A lot of people's favorite rappers kind of came up watching me. There's there's roller skating, there's tennis, there's dad life. I have 3 daughters and I've been all out for them since they came to this world. So if you might meet me in one circle and say, oh, that's the tennis racquetball guy, but that same person has no idea that I rap or used to rap and what I've done. And, I don't just bring it up unless it's appropriate, so.
I got it. Yeah. I mean, I saw you used to be nice at handball too.
Played a lot of handball, won the citywides with my man, Ray Lopez, played against all the greats from my time. And, handball I got introduced to in junior high school. First day of school, I walk into the yard and these dudes are playing handball right against the school wall, and it was like this crowd around them, and I'm like, what is going on?
Handball is crazy. It's one of the more, I think, slept on, like, kind of just sports altogether. I started playing maybe I was maybe like 14. I started learning how to play. Yeah. Before we used to like play these other as kids not dumb handball games, but just kind of our own way of doing it. We would kind of just hit each other with the handball over and over again.
Right.
But when I started learning how to play handball, it was like the people in my neighborhood, because in case anybody doesn't know, you're also from Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, so we have that in common.
Yeah.
So learning how to play in the park from a lot of the old heads in my neighborhood, I was just like, yo, you guys take this. This is serious. You guys are taking this way more serious than the guys playing ball in the other part of the park.
Right. And what's interesting is, as we're talking about it, handball was almost no different than hip hop for me, meaning that when I saw the sport, I started to get curious, and then you just start hearing about legends in that arena. The same as hip hop, no different. And I, since I was young, I get very excited about learning who the legends are, and then trying to get there. You know what I'm saying? So, it was Buddy, it was Emmett, it was, Pebbles, and all these names that you hear. And then a few years later, I am playing against these people. And which is just crazy, because that's how it happened in hip hop. As a kid, I'm listening to LL Cool J and all this stuff. And then I meet him and he's like, I know who you are, and I'm like, it's yeah,
just like that. Became a legend in yourself playing handball too. Became a legend in yourself playing handball.
Say that one more time.
No, I was saying you became a legend in yourself playing handball.
Oh man, it ended up that way, and I didn't have it in my head like that, but I think that I would tell people that you are right now making your history. It's not something that you get someplace and then you start creating your history, right? Your channel right now is part of your history. You are making your history now. It won't start 2 weeks from now.
Facts. So speaking of legends and history, what are some projects, some artists, some other people you got to work with in your time, coming up in your career, in your life?
Wow, where do I start? I rapped with the Notorious B.I.G. And I say that now it's a big deal, but back when this happened, I went to a show at this club in Manhattan, and Biggie was performing. He happened to be performing, and I saw that show, and I was like, man, I like this guy, man. Like that's dope. I was already out, you know what I'm saying? I knew Puffy, Diddy, and everybody else, and I saw Biggie perform, and I was like, man, that's dope. Like 2 days later, my boy DJ Enough, another Brooklynite. DJ Enough just started on Hot 97, and he said we was hanging out at his place, and he was like, yo, Biggie's supposed to do some radio drops for me for my radio show. He was like, you want to come with me to go pick him up? I was like, let's go. So we went, picked Biggie up. First we went to his house. He wasn't there. His mom said he was at the laundromat around the corner. Facts. So we went to the laundromat. Dude's over at the laundromat with his plaid shirt. He always would wear plaid type shirt. And then he gets in the car, and Enough goes, Biggie, fresh Biggie. And I'm getting ready to say to him, dope show the other night. But he says to me, bro, I know all of your stuff. You're incredible. And then he starts rapping my record, Now You Know. And he raps the whole thing. And I was
That's crazy.
I was like, wow. He said, man, me and Little C's, we know your stuff backwards and forwards, blah, blah, blah. And then after that, he says to me, I know who you are, and you're not catching me out there on tape. He was like, I'm not getting on tape.
I'm dead.
And I laughed just the way you did. Because, I was a little surprised, like, he was like, it's not going to happen, bro. I'm not getting on tape with you. You're not going to embarrass me. And I laughed like that. He said it a couple more times. And the only way we got on tape together was because I was playing a beat for him. First, he played me his stuff with Method Man. He played me all his stuff. And he said, I have to wait for Heavy D's album to come out first before mine comes out. And then he played his stuff. And I was like, yo, that's dope. Then I said, this is some beats I'm working on. Like, I produced too. I put the beat on as soon as it came on. He was like, and Enough hit record. And he didn't see that.
He finessed it. The finesse.
Enough hit record. I started rapping. That was it. You're in. So that's how I rap with Biggie. Outside of that, I'm on Many Styles with Original Flavor and Jay-Z. I toured with Ice Cube, Too Short, D Nice, Yo-Yo, Kid Rock. I won the World Championship rap contest. There's some things here and there. there's some things here and there. There's some things. There's some things. I got a record with Daddy Snow. So if you know your hip hop, you would know who Snow is. I'm on a remix.
Yeah, get the throwback.
Yeah. So there's things out there.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. I mean, given from that time to now, like, how do you feel like the rap industry as a whole like has evolved? It seemed like back then it was so much easier to kind of grow, these genuine connections and kind of catch each other outside and just kind of grow a partnership. I mean, granted, rap beef used to be what it was back then. It's kind of just much more different. I feel like it's more in the internet age. But how do you feel about the rap industry now, where it's at compared to back then?
Well, I think right now we're too aggressive as a culture and as a people. We're too aggressive, so we don't know how to meet another man, somebody that looks like us, and treat that person with respect. Like, treat that person like you're hosting them at your house. We just don't know how to do that, right? To show love, to hold the door. I think it's crazy that you could watch a rap show and the male rappers are on stage with fur coats, jackets, and stuff, and then the female rapper comes on and she's half naked,
going crazy.
That's just dumb. It's just a lack of respect for our women. And I could tell you, like back in the day when I got signed, I used to be on Tommy Boy Records with Queen Latifah, De La Soul, Digital Underground. Naughty by Nature wasn't there yet when I got signed, but I can tell you that when we would go to clubs in Manhattan, we would see each other. When I say each other, there was a whole group of rappers that had the same type of deal. We were not getting a lot of money, but we signed these deals. We signed these deals so we can hear our record on the radio one day.
Yeah. And
I remember seeing Common, and I never met this guy before. And he said, "What's up, FreshCo?" And I said, "What's up, Common?" Like, we just knew. We trying to make it. We're trying to make it. I would see Kid from Kid and Play, same thing. "What's up, FreshCo?" "What's up, Kid?" I never met these guys before, but we know who we know. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I feel like it went from, hip hop went from like De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, and these records about, you like this girl, and you're gonna see how you, to like straight, like, you mess with us, you dying.
Yeah.
And I knew when they changed what they were playing on daytime radio from De La Soul to, you know what, we stick up kids, we weren't coming back. I knew we weren't coming back.
Yeah.
And so here we are. We're an aggressive culture. People, some people are afraid to be in our presence because we are very, don't mess with us. And I think we're like at least a decade away from fixing this. Like, this is like serious.
Yeah. I mean, what's always interesting is that I think a lot of people forget how young hip hop is as a whole. Mm-hmm. You have all these other genres that, have, were created and kind of, groomed off the backs of like Black creation as a whole. Mm-hmm. And maybe they have evolved over time and it's a little bit muddied, but hip hop and rap for the most part is, really stayed close to our culture. But it's a baby and it's still growing, it's still learning. A lot of the younger, hip hop and rap artists who back in the day weren't able to make a lot of money.
Yep.
Now it's evolved tenfold where there's just so much money in it, especially utilizing like social media and the way everybody and artists use it now. So it's like amazing. What are your thoughts with like how people utilize social media now, especially within just not only just their life, but just music too?
Yeah, I think what the culture evolved to is amazing. One of the reasons why why I left the industry was because you could count on one hand the rappers who were making a career and could survive on their income until they die, and that probably was just LL Cool J, Run DMC. Gosh, I could barely think of other groups, but at a certain point, I had my first daughter come in and I was like, yo, I gotta get the gig. You know what I'm saying? So I got into audio engineering and so forth and so on. I think the money opportunities are incredible right now. But you know, where do I begin, man? It's it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of thoughts, and I don't. This is what I want to say, and and I want to be fair to the artists of today. I'm not one of those rappers who is like, oh, the stuff today is garbage.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I like some of the most ratchetest songs that you wouldn't imagine. You know what I'm saying? I like Skills, but I do. There's some ratchet songs that I'm just like, I don't know why I'm listening to this, but I'm
here for it.
I'm here. You right?
It's the feel good energy. The feel good energy sometimes is just there.
But here's what I think is going on. The reason why, and I'm trying to break this down to a basic level. The reason why we have the aggressive, shoot 'em up, don't mess with me music right now is because if you're a young artist and you're thinking like, I want to get in that industry, you cannot get in this industry by going back to make what De La Soul was making.
Yeah.
There's no end. If you got to come with your crew, you got to come with your whole camouflage, whatever you rocking.
Yeah.
And that's how you get in. But it's not the artists who have made that. It's the owners. It's the
100%.
owners, right? So the owners are like, listen, come with the right stuff, and we will distribute your record, right? We'll distribute it, and we're looking for the quote unquote the killers, right? We look like you gotta be bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now it grooms young people who are doing the same music. That's why I said we're at least 10 years away from fixing any of this. Until the owners are like, you know what? Let's talk about some positive stuff. Like, like how many businesses do you have? How many properties can you get, and how long does that build generational wealth for? And until we start making like stuff that touches that, we're just grooming the next aggressive rapper, the next aggressive artist, the next female that feels like she has to be naked to get light, to go up against Megan Thee Stallion. You know what I'm saying? And that's horrible. That's horrible. Like, hey, take off some of those clothes and we will push you to the top. That's horrible.
Yeah, 'cause it sucks. It's like it almost feels like we have to wait for our hip hop artists to become basically veterans, like Hov, to spit game and spit some stuff back into the culture. And then everybody has their things that they pick and choose, that they feel like Hov don't do enough of this and Hov don't do enough of that. We can do that all day.
Criticism. There's going to be criticism everywhere, right? But there's a bigger problem. There's a bigger problem above Hov. There's a bigger problem. There's a whole bunch of people who are like, should I invest in the SpaceX program, or should I throw some money towards this hip hop thing? I'm gonna throw some money towards this hip hop thing. Like, I can make a killing here, right?
You gotta get that Ice Spice.
It doesn't matter for those people. It doesn't matter what rapper just got murdered last week. It's for them. It's still a good investment, right?
It's just always see the bag. They see the dollar sign.
Money is going up. Yeah, like, yo, can we get a new guy? I'm sorry to hear that guy died. Do you have another group? It's terrible. It's terrible. So it's really above the artist. It's outside of the artist. The artists are doing it to try to make a way for their family, and they're playing the game. I gotta be super thug.
Facts. So transitioning from there, once you kind of, move forward with your career and with your life, you ended up working with 4Kids. So how did that happen? How did you go from being out here with Biggie, running into Common, and you end up, becoming, you said, a sound engineer, correct? So were you always doing sound engineering when you were rap? Were you engineering your own stuff, or did you have somebody else doing that?
No, I'll tell you real quick how that went. So when I did Many Styles, a mutual friend of Damon Dash and myself was Clark Kent. So and then Ski from Original Flavor, Ski Beats, who produced a whole bunch of Jay-Z stuff. We did a show together, and then Ski was like, yo, you're dope. I want you on one of my records. Ski kept his word, called me and said, yo, we're gonna do this record. It's gonna be me. It's gonna be Original Flavor, you, Busta Rhymes, Jay-Z, all these people. Busta didn't show up for whatever reason. I think Jay already did a verse, and then I went to the studio and I did my verse. Clark Kent called me and was like, yo, that was crazy. Somebody wants to talk to you. Damon Dash gets on the phone and says, I'm signing you. Just like that. Never met him before. Never met him. He's on the phone. You're crazy. I'm signing you. So that's it. Now I'm down with Rockefeller. So we're doing stuff, and Damon is like, yo, I almost got you and Jay-Z a deal. Not together, not as partners, but I almost got Jay-Z a deal, and I think I can get you on this deal, Fresh, right? Like, we can get 2 artists in. That happened like 2 or 3 times, and it fell through. Nobody would sign Jay-Z. Nobody was signing me at the time. They just wouldn't go all the way. 2 years of that, I was like, yo, I gotta find a way to get some money. Right. And I started getting interested in audio engineering. Like, that was like, I was like, I want to learn how to do what Ski does. I want to learn how to do what my partner Miz does. I'm going to take an audio engineering course. This is what I do. I learn stuff and I just go. Yeah. So Damon was like, yo, you ain't coming around anymore. And I'm just like, bro, I'm working at Soundtrack Studio. I got my own studio at Soundtrack. Soundtrack is one of the biggest studios in New York. And I'm doing sound for King of the Hill, Burger King, British Airways. I was working on the Verizon commercials with James Earl Jones, worked with Will Arnett, Rosie Perez, and Damon is still trying to get Jay-Z a record deal. Do you follow me?
That's you like the bills ain't gonna pay themselves, man.
Right. So and I know in hindsight everybody's like, nah, but you should have stayed with Jay-Z. He's a billionaire. But just listen to what I'm saying. You don't know that. Yeah, you listen, don't know that. Right. Listen to what I'm saying. Jay-Z, I don't even think he was driving to Damon's house. I think he was taking the train and meeting us on. Damon had an apartment on First Avenue, and I think it was 90-something Street, and we would all just meet there. Jay-Z had a way to get money, and I'm not going to go any further with that, but he had a way to get money, right? I did not have that luxury. So I ended up at Soundtrack. After Soundtrack was paying me like a decent amount, but then I went to go work at Photomag Studios. That's where I did commercials, sound for the commercials for The Matrix, Life is Beautiful, and Shakespeare in Love. And now I'm making money. The most money I ever thought I would make. I'm making this money. The last time I saw Jay-Z was just before I left Soundtrack. He saw me there and he was like, oh shoot, what's up, Fresh? And I was like, what's up? I'm good. I've got this studio here. And he looked me in the eye and said, I'm still trying to do this. That's the last time I spoke to Jay-Z. And the way I ended up at 4 Kids was after Photomag, because Photomag, I wasn't happy there. So I started interviewing. 4 Kids was on the list. They called me. They wanted to interview me. And I remember telling somebody, I do not want to go to this interview because I really don't feel like working on cartoon shows. Yeah. Because I was doing commercials, trailers, and stuff like that. I didn't want to work on cartoon shows. Yeah. The person said, just go on the interview. Just go. I was like, yeah. I went on the interview. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to kill you. Right. It's not going to kill me. I went on that interview and they hired me. I started working on Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and then later on, One Piece came. And I was doing the sound for all of the 4 Kids shows. I was doing the final sound mix. That's how I got to 4 Kids.
So speaking of One Piece, so you went from doing the sound engineering for all these shows that a lot of people grew up on in the early 2000s era, watching, Kids WB, Channel 5 back then and all of that.
Yep.
So how did you end up transitioning into doing the One Piece 4 Kids rap?
Because at the time I was working on a gospel album, a gospel rap album that was just going to be mine. I just wanted to do it. I was, just learning and going to church. And I was like, you know what? I could do like some nice hip hop, like gospel, I can make this happen. Somebody at 4Kids knew that because I was going to 4Kids to do the final mixes there. And then they got the show One Piece. They acquired it from Japan, I believe. And then somebody said, hey, can you help us out with the rap? And I was like, okay, that's fine. Just let me know when you're ready. And they were like, okay, that would be great. That would be great. So next thing you know, we started talking about it, and they explained it to me. It's this kid. He's going to be the Pirate King and blah, blah, blah. And, here, we have some lyrics. And I looked at the lyrics and I was like, I'm not rapping this. I will help you with the rap, but this won't be it right here. So I took what they had on paper and I was like, this is how it's gonna work. And I started breaking down each line and adding things and adding some swag and some flow. And that's how the One Piece rap came up.
Nice. So you didn't know anything about One Piece going in, but did you know anything about anime as a whole? Because I know that anime is it's been around forever. Back in the day, people used to just like buy them and they used to be in the back of video stores and things like that. So did you watch any anime like that growing up?
Not really. When I was growing up, it was Justice League. It was Wonder Twins. It was Wonder Woman. All the Saturday morning shows. Yeah. It was all the Saturday morning shows, and then I did sound for some anime, like some Japan-related anime that never made it to TV. Okay. I did some sound for that because I had some friends that were working on that stuff. But outside of that, I never heard of One Piece. I never even heard of Yu-Gi-Oh! When Yu-Gi-Oh! Came to 4Kids, no one could pronounce the name right.
Oh yeah, I mean it had everybody.
No one could pronounce the name right. It was Eugene and Ugaya. I mean, no one could pronounce the name right. And then one day I'm in a grocery store, and it's on the cover of TV Guide. Yu-Gi-Oh! Taking over, United States, and I'm like, wow, I did the sound for all of these. This is crazy. But going back to One Piece, I didn't have a background on it. The way the graphics looked, I didn't care for how it looked. I just didn't get what was happening. I was like, why did we buy this show? That's what
I'm gonna be honest with you. It's funny because I got into One Piece actually a lot more recently, like in 2017. So as a kid, I thought One Piece looked nuts. I was not into it. I was like, this looks crazy. What is he like supposed to be, Mr. Fantastic? Like he's stretchy. I'm gonna just go watch the Fantastic Four cartoon for all that used to come out.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I was like, wow, we're just buying shows. I mean, like I didn't get it. So I completed the rap. And then I think I had to do a couple of different versions. So they were like, hey, let's do a version like this because we're not sure if we're going to keep this character in. Like there was two other versions. Yeah. And I was like, sure, whatever. And I just did the versions. They were like, thank you. And then, I guess maybe a week or so later, it got approved. Everybody was loving it. And I'm thinking we're going to split 50-50, because that's me. Y'all didn't write that. That's me. Yeah. You don't have to rap unless I do it, And man, they were like, no, we want to give you this because it's really all these explanations. And I was just like, really? Yeah. It was so bad. But I was busy at the time, and I didn't have the capacity to say I should fight this or nah, don't put it out then. I just didn't have the capacity because I was still working as an audio engineer for 4Kids. Yeah. And I'm going back to go mixing Yu-Gi-Oh! So
he's like, I got so much other stuff going on. He's like, this is not a battle. I'm not willing down as hell.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't even know if the show's gonna do good, which is crazy to say right now.
Hindsight is nuts.
Hindsight is nuts, right? So that that's pretty much how that went down. And man, like years later, you know, I saw it here and there online, but I never even clicked on it because I was like, somebody heard of One Piece. Like that was my mentality. I was like,
Yeah.
why is this on YouTube? Somebody heard of One Piece. Like I literally was saying that. And yeah, at some point I dug deeper. And I see it's like there's millions of people who are watching this and they're talking about the rap, and I'm like, wait a minute. I felt like I was in a frozen time capsule for like 10 years, and everybody's like,
this is an alternate dimension. What's going on?
Yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, I saw people, you know, videos of people dancing to the rap at work functions, like crazy stuff. And my kids were like, wow, Dad. And I'm like, you know, like
he said, I don't even know.
You know, like I'll tell you what's interesting is that in hip hop, right? You know, like we were talking earlier, there's a bunch of rappers who know who I am and the impact, right? You know, Busta, Redman, LL Cool J, Jay-Z, Damon. There's a bunch of people, you know, Diddy, you know, they know, but the public, because I didn't have a #1 record on the radio, I don't walk down the street and people just stop me. I wasn't that type of rapper. My influence is different. But with the One Piece rap, it was like when I discovered how big it got, I was like, oh, you were like, don't worry about hip hop. I got you over here. You know, and I was like, wow, like this is crazy. You know, like this is here forever. Yeah. You can't take it away.
The popularity of One Piece, I mean, I can only imagine just the random surge of probably the way the One Piece community probably just bombarded you in a way of like, yo, this is crazy. Because One Piece, for the most part, back in the day, we called it like the big three. There was like 3 major anime in that era that really influenced like a lot of like American culture. So there was One Piece, Naruto, and this other show called Bleach.
Yeah.
And at the time, Naruto back then was just the most popular because it had ninjas. Yeah. And everybody loved ninjas. Like it was dope. And then the other one was a little bit more edgy and dark. And back then, the more darker and kind of edgy you could be, Matrix-esque, the cooler it was. And One Piece was One Piece. And it wasn't really until even now, year after year, because currently One Piece is actually supposed to end in the next 3 to 5 years.
Right.
The manga. And over the past like 4 or 5 years, specifically over the pandemic, because there's so many episodes, people just started binging it, and now it's just it's become more mainstream than ever. It's honestly unbelievable. I would have never been able to see this in 2017, so I can't even imagine the shock for you, you know, from 2005, 4.
Yeah, I probably did that in 04.
Yeah.
04. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I was getting interview requests over all these years. People would hit me on Facebook. Hey, can I interview you? And I was like, oh, okay, you know, I saw you on One Piece, or you know, I saw you in a One Piece forum, and I was just like, really? Yeah, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, is that still existing? Like that show, you know? And I just didn't know. I didn't know that One Piece blew up. So, you know, people were just like, hey, can I interview you about One Piece? And I was just like, ooh, I don't know, man. You know, like you can interview me about, you know, anything else. But,
everything about me, but like One Piece specifically, like
One Piece at the time was a work project I did.
Yeah.
It was a work project I did that maybe wouldn't see the light of day outside of work. You know, it was almost like that. You know, you like seriously, you know, it was like, okay, I know how to rap, boss. You know, right? Like
yeah, I got you. I'll do the things for the project.
Yeah, I'm at work, literally. So you know, I do the rap. Okay, cool. Go ahead, have fun with it. Sure, have fun. And the thing blows up. You know, so go figure.
Crazy. Do you have any like you know, cool stories or like anything that you enjoy while working at 4Kids?
Man, yeah, there's yeah, there's a few. So one is like on Yu-Gi-Oh, for example. There are a lot of lines where the characters say, because it's dealing with card decks. So there were a lot of lines that the scripts were written by adults, right? So the lines, when people go in the booth to read the lines, the Yu-Gi-Oh character would say, your deck is too small. Yeah. And we had to say, okay, let's go back and record that again, because make sure you're saying deck, D-E.
We want to make sure it's not another word.
Right, because it's a kid's show, and we had so many moments where sometimes we would stop recording and be like, is any kid gonna understand what we're talking about right now? There were a lot of moments like that. There were moments working with Andrew Reynolds, who blew up, Book of Mormons and all this stuff. He's a star right now. Yeah. That's one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. He came to 4Kids and at the time was like, hey, I'm gonna try to get in as a voice. And then he got in to do some voices. And then after that, he started directing and started learning the ropes. And he'd always be like, hey, Shawn, how am I doing? And I'm like, hey, you're doing good. And I got your back. And then Andrew blows up freaking 10, 15 years later. I'm like, I was listening to the TV one day and it was like, Andrew Reynolds. And I'm like, which Andrew Reynolds? And it's just
crazy. Life is crazy who you meet along the way, honestly.
It's crazy. And I think one of the last things I would say, just as a thing of interest, there were a lot of voiceover people kind of on the newer side that came through 4Kids, came up to audition. I was part of their audition because I was recording them. Yeah. And that was like their first start. And these are people who are big characters now. They can go to any Comic-Con and just, it's crazy. Yeah. And at the time, they weren't really getting paid what they were supposed to get paid to do a lot of those roles. And I won't go any deeper than that, but it was like, we can get these people to voice these characters, but not pay them the right thing. You know what I'm saying? So props to those actors who did the grind on all of those shows. There were so many shows we did, and they were like, I'm going to do this thing. And a lot of them are doing well right now, and their voices everybody knows and loves.
Yeah, it really is a tough industry when I hear some of the stories in regards to compensation and kind of like the workers union and everything like that. It's more power to them. I think a lot of people don't tend to put enough respect on voice acting and voiceover work that they need to. They kind of put it in this own bucket that it's not the same thing as acting, and it really is. It's an art in itself.
It's an art. It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot. And I think because we grow up and you don't go to school and people are like talking about, hey, are you taking voiceover or are you going to become a physician? That's not the conversation. So no one knows. And it's part of why, after hip hop, when I started doing sound for television commercials and TV and stuff like that, I was like, there's people making money doing this stuff? Those are the commercials where we turn the TV, right, to find another show that's on so we don't have to watch the commercial. There's audio engineers making over $300,000 a year doing it. There's voiceover people making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year voicing that stuff. There's sound engineers making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. There's video editors making $200,000 a year. And no one, it's barely in the colleges. You know what I'm saying? It might be there now, but coming up, it wasn't there.
I feel like these days, with, TikTok and everything like that, I feel like that's become a lot of people's kind of audition tape. The amount of talent that you kind of see kind of flow through that app and most other social media things, these, I'm not even, yes, I'm 30, but these kids, they're the things that they're learning now and teaching themselves and self-teaching, it's almost making what the colleges can teach a little, not fully obsolete. There's the life experience that you're always going to get and kind of those life management skills in college, but just the tools that are available these days for the younger generation, it really feels like next 10, 15 years, the sky's the limit for a lot of them.
I agree. I think I think college is cool. And I think it's great to get education, to learn a lot. But I also think it's one of the greatest hustles ever created.
Oh, the biggest. I'm still in debt. I'm over it.
It's one of the greatest hustles ever created. It's like, hey, you need to come here so we can give you this paper, and this is what it'll cost you, and it's okay. You don't have to pay us now.
Yeah, but you don't have to pay us.
you will pay us, but you don't have to pay us now because we got thousands of you doing this. So
don't worry, there's mad at you around.
Don't worry. Yeah, just whenever you get around to it, pay us. But if you don't, we're gonna add interest. But it's okay. Like it's one of the greatest hustles ever.
I don't know. I say Nelnet is gonna have to find me in the grave before they get.
I'm telling you, man.
This bread back. Yeah.
I feel your pain, but yeah.
Would you be open to like possibly working on something with Toei Animation, One Piece, currently if they asked or reached out?
Yeah, I would. I think you're making me think about like what has happened over the last 15, 20 years. When I left hip hop to try to be a great dad and just do the right thing, a lot of people didn't have my new number, so they couldn't find me. So I get asked a lot, like, "Oh, do you still talk to LL Cool J or Big Daddy Kane?" And I'm like, "No. First of all, if you're an artist, your number changes every 2 weeks or every month, right? It's period. Because once people get the number, you got to change it.
You ain't trying to be found like that.
Yeah. So, and the other thing is people don't know how to get to me, right? Because like I don't, my number's not out there, and then over the years, I'm not at the top of people's minds, right? Like if you see Busta right now, you would have to remind him, like, yo, you remember this guy named FreshCo back in the day? They won the battle, and then he would go, "That's my guy," right? But it's not at the top of his head. You know what I'm saying? Like the way Drake might be, or Jay, or whatever, right? So I'm saying that to say, and to answer your question, Funimation and all these places, whoever has One Piece right now, I don't think I'm at the top of their head. Like, hey, reach out to Shawn Conrad so he can do this. Because I'm not really online and in social media like, hey, I'm the One Piece rapper, I'm ready to go, just call me, let's do it. That's not really what's happening, because there's all kind of other life stuff that I'm doing. But I would be open. You don't forget how to ride a bike. Yeah. So I'll just say it like that. I am the same lyricist. So yeah, anything that I'm given, I can turn it into something that will add value.
I mean, this is the plug right here. You gotta let them know, like, yo, Funimation, Toei, One Piece, hit up Shawn. We need some more One Piece content. Or I mean, if you would be interested, maybe you could like voice a character in like the English dub.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm open to all of it. I think there's some people who know, because see, when I put out one of my YouTube videos, I talked about how I created the One Piece rap, and as soon as that dropped, comicbook.com put out an article as soon as it dropped, because it was a big deal. Yeah. So I think there's people who know, if you follow comicbook.com or you're following anything, I'm here. Yeah. I'm here. Now it's up to you if you the powers that be are like, hey, let's get him to like, it would be great if he redid the new rap. Yeah. Like people would be like, oh man, you're ending the way it started, Like yeah, that would be dope, So
cut the check, Funimation.
We'll see. Let's do it.
So speaking of like some cartoons and things like that, like One Piece, since you didn't get too much into anime, what were your favorite cartoons like growing up then?
Growing up, like I mentioned some before, Justice League, Aquaman, and that's on the cartoon side, but there was $6 Million Man, Incredible Hulk, Wonder Woman, After School.
Get that Lou Ferrigno popping.
Man, yeah. I mean, like there was, I was in front of the TV. I remember my mom telling me like, don't be too close to the TV. You're gonna ruin your eyes. I was up on the TV like this, But yeah, a lot of those Saturday morning shows, and then you also have to include all the kung fu shows, Five Deadly Venoms, Mortal Kombat, all of those kung fu shows. And then if you do that, you have to include the Godzillas, the Gamera, all
the deep cuts right now.
I was all over that. Like that's like when Wu-Tang came out, I was like, okay, but we all know about these shows, I was like, okay, that's kind of gimmicky, but it's working. I like the music. I like the music. The music was dope, no doubt. Yeah. So I'm not saying that, but I was like, the kung fu. I was like, okay, y'all will be the kung fu guys of the hip hop. That's cool. That's cool. But it worked. It worked.
Yeah.
And oh man, this so many things we didn't talk about. Like when I mentioned Wu-Tang, RZA. He was about to, way before Wu-Tang, he was about to get a deal with Tommy Boy. Tommy Boy offered him a deal as a solo artist, Prince Rakeem. If you know your hip hop, you know all this, right? So we was by the Palladium, 14th Street in Manhattan, and he was like, yo, Fresh, can I talk to you? I was like, yeah. He was like, yo, you think I should sign to Tommy Boy? They're offering me this deal. And I was like, yo, I'm on Tommy Boy. My first record, they didn't give me a video. They did not promote the record. I was like, there's probably better options for you. He was like, I feel you. And he went and signed the deal with Tommy Boy. That record failed. And just like the struggles of Genius, whatever label he was on, and all the other artists, that prompted Wu-Tang. That's prompted Wu-Tang. He was like, I'm not doing Prince Rakeem. My record bombed. I'm going as the RZA. And I'm gonna get the other dudes who had a bad deal too. Yeah. I probably should have been in that. You know what I'm saying? Like we all had horrible record deals.
Yeah.
But we were out. And then that's how Wu-Tang came about. You know what I'm saying? And man, God, I mean,
truthfully, they inspired a generation. Honestly, like even with all the things you're saying that you were into and that they were talking about. Yeah. That kind of, I feel like, has evolved into being into the kung fu stuff where like a lot of rappers now that's my age and younger, now they all talking about anime stuff, and like that's an import from like Eastern culture over there. It's only grown alive. I feel like hip hop has the way. I feel like a lot of Asian culture and hip hop and Black people in America have kind of like meshed together. It's been absolutely just. It's a crazy sight to see, honestly. Yeah,
and it's been happening forever. I mean, like when I was younger, and we talking about like 80s, early 80s though.
It's about like
Leroy. Listen, there was like you had to buy yourself the we used to call them Chinese slippers. I'm sure that's not the name, but the tan bottom and the black, you slip them joints on. When you went outside, you were walking around like you knew kung fu.
Yeah,
that was the thing. Like you wanted to get into a fight. I'm being dead serious.
You ready? Like, somebody try me.
Right. If somebody tries me, I'm gonna kick them. You know what I'm saying? Like I know so many dudes like that. Like that's what was happening in Brooklyn back then. So yes, that Gamera, Godzilla, and martial arts had a huge impact. So going back one more time to Wu-Tang, I get it. They were like, yo, this thing has hit our culture so hard, so big, and in such a profound way. We should be rapping. We should be rapping about this stuff, man, because it's dope. It's dope. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Props to RZA and Wu-Tang.
I'm just laughing because I'm thinking about now. Like, imagine a dude getting kicked in some like kung fu slippers down the train stop Broadway Junction.
Yep. That's a big fall. That's a big fall. No, I'm with you.
Imagine getting kicked down that escalator at Broadway Junction. I'm sorry for anybody watching this. This is the most Brooklyn thing we probably talking about. But if you know, you know.
I know. But there was there's just there's so much that we got. Like last night, I was talking to somebody, and we were, just reminiscing on some hip hop stuff, and I was saying to them, it was about Jay-Z and Jazzo.
Yeah.
And when I was coming up, Jazzo, if you don't know, just look him up.
Yeah,
right? Jazzo had a record out called Hawaiian Sophie, and in the video,
that song is fire. Actually, that song is fire. I like that song.
Jazz is incredible. But in the video, it was like a one-liner, and he asked his boy something, and the dude, it was Jay-Z, and they're both wearing Hawaiian suits, and Jay-Z says like one or two words, and that's how I first saw Jay-Z. Now, the reason why I bring this up is we used to go to a club called the Rooftop. New Yorkers, if you know what I'm talking about, the Rooftop right next to Rucker Park, right? That place, don't even get me started. That's where, don't get me started. We have to do another interview.
Yeah.
But I was going into the Rooftop and saw Jazzo, and Jazz was like, "FreshCo, what's going on?" I was like, "What's up, Jazz?" And he's standing next to who I recognize as the guy from the video, which was Jay-Z. I just didn't know his name. It was the guy from his video. So Jazz was like, "Fresh, kick a rhyme." I kicked the rhyme. This is right in front of the Rooftop. Then Jazz kicked the rhyme, and then Jazz looked at Jay-Z and said, "Go ahead, Jay." And Jay-Z just kept his hands in his pocket and did not rhyme. And I was like, all right, later, Jazz. And me and my man went into the club. And I that was my first encounter with Jay-Z. The second time, remember, Damon Dash signed me?
Yeah.
And one night, Damon used to take me and Jay-Z to these different clubs in Manhattan. And remember, I would park my car by Damon's. I don't think Jay was driving. So we just all get in Damon's car, right? So we're driving. Before he started driving, Damon looked at me. He looks at Jay-Z. Jay-Z sitting in the back, and he says, "Man, y'all two would be an incredible battle." And at the time, Jay-Z just went. He didn't look at me or anybody. He just said, "Whatever." And I was like, so at that point, I was like, this guy doesn't like me. He doesn't. He's like, where the hell did I come from? Why am I here? And so it was a little. It was kind of mesmerizing that when I saw him again at Soundtrack, and he was like, "Fresh," and I was like, "What's up, Jay?" I was like, "Oh, are we cool?" It was. I was happy to see him. I mean, I never meant him no harm. That was Damon.
Yeah.
Damon used to put us to battle everybody. That's how the DMX, Jay-Z and DMX stuff happened. That was Damon's thing. He makes his rappers battle people.
Yeah.
That's what he does. Piece of Damon Dash, you know what I'm saying? But that's how that happened. I didn't think I was cool with Jay until I saw Jay again, and we were fine.
It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, so I got like a couple more questions, final questions, before we wrap everything up. It's honestly, I said this would probably be like 25, 30 minutes. I'm so sorry. This is lasting way longer.
No, you good. There's a lot. There's a lot of information. This stuff I haven't even.
Nah, you got stories for days. You got stories for days.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kind of stuff going on.
So, right now, if anybody looks at your channel, obviously I'll have all the links below if anybody wants to check it out.
Yep.
You have plenty of videos there that kind of get way more into your stories that I was able to check out a few of those.
Yep.
I see right now you're prominent in a lot of voiceover and voice acting work right now. So do you have any advice for anybody aspiring to getting into voiceover work?
Sure. So I created a full voiceover course, and what makes my voiceover course unique is not because I do voiceovers, right? And I've done voiceovers for Public Supermarket. I've done voiceovers for Coca-Cola, all kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But what makes my course unique is that I worked with all the voiceovers that you're hearing on a lot of these shows.
Yeah.
I was the one recording them. Excuse me. I was the one working with Will Arnett. I worked with Will Ferrell for HBO show. So I have unique insight to how other voiceover actors record, how they do their thing, and what happens in certain situations for certain shows. So that's what makes the course that I promote, that I created, fully blown, jam-packed. And people could find that course at youcandovoiceovers.com.
Nice.
Just go to youcandovoiceovers.com and it'll tell you everything you need to know. If you feel like it's something you want to learn from and benefit from, you'll find a way to take the next step and purchase the course. So that's one of the things that I'm doing right now.
Nice. And do you have anything else that you are working on that's coming out in the future, or anything exciting?
Yeah. So there was one that happened not too long ago. So I have a little cameo, non-speaking cameo in Wakanda Forever.
Ooh.
So I got back into acting. That's another thing that distracted me from hip hop. At the time I was doing this stuff with Biggie and Damon and all this stuff, I was a free spirit. So I'm roller skating, acting. I was in martial arts school. I was fighting in tournaments. All kind of stuff. And hip hop magazines were writing articles like, "Where's FreshCo?" I would see it in Rap Masters magazine. They were like, "Where's this guy?" And I was just doing things because I love life. I love to experience things. I feel like, our Creator, God gave us these eyes, these ears, this intelligence to do more than just what you do from 9 to 5.
Yeah.
we gotta do more. You know what I'm saying? So there's the acting piece. I also have a business where it's involved with real estate, but I also have software as a service that helps small businesses consolidate their communications. So this is email, this is sales funnels, this is two-way text messaging, this is automated systems where people contact you and it automatically replies back. You can answer questions automatically that get asked like 100 times a day. You can organize your company. If you have employees, you can assign certain employees to certain clients. And this is all in the software. And that you can find at totalselfmission.com. And that's been my thing, like total self, right? How to be a great man, a stand-up man, without having to be, threatening people. How to run your business and how to stick a hand out and pull people up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like we can do more of that. Your blessings will be even bigger than you want them to be. And then the last thing I would say is you could always go to ShawnConrad.com and find out anything you want to know. That kind of encompasses all that I do. It will always be current and up to date with links here, links there. So that's how people can find me.
That's exciting stuff. It's honestly having this whole conversation with you. It sounds like you've really lived life to the fullest. Honestly, you've not been scared to really venture off and try anything, and I feel like that's something a lot of us figure out as we go along. When we first spoke, I told you, what got me to start doing YouTube is pandemic came, and I started kind of wanting to figure out more about myself. And regular work is regular work, but I was trying to find something to bring me some joy. Yep. And this is how I ended up doing this. And it's really inspiring to hear that you have continued and not stopped evolving and trying new things and learning more about yourself. And that's really, really inspiring.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. And it just comes from being a lover of life. That's how I word it these days. There's so many things I love. I can meet somebody, and if they tell me that they are an expert crocheter, I want to talk to them. I want to talk to them and be like, what inspired you? And how do you how did you train your right hand to like I go deep, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just, I know how to knit a blanket. Like your left does this, but your right hand, and then they would share with you, I put a wrist weight on that hand to, bro, there's people, I'm telling you that there's stuff I can tell you that DJs have done that it will blow your mind. It's the Kobe Bryant mentality, may he rest in peace, right? You just shooting the ball, right? You're taking a couple shots, but I took 400 today. You didn't take 400 shots today. You're not gonna be able to hang, right? Like it's that mentality. You know what I'm saying? So I don't care what it is, you know, basketball, tennis, hip hop. The reason why Black Thought and Eminem flow like that, because they were like, yo, I'm gonna study this game and you're not gonna outwork me.
Facts.
You're not gonna outwork me. You know what I'm saying? So and that's it. You there's nothing you can do because the others do it casually, and certain people are like, yo, how did you get your right hand that fast?
Yeah, the fine tuning. Crazy. Oh man. Well, thank you again though for doing this. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna be sure to have everything, you know, to contact you in the find your links below in the bio and all that stuff in the description.
Dope.
Like I said before, thank you again. We'll start to wrap up this video. Once again, I am extremely humbled that you took the time to do this. You really didn't have to, and honestly, it's a blessing, and I really appreciate this.
You're very welcome. You're in your history making right now, right? It's not gonna start 2 weeks from now. You're in it, so this is just part of it. This is part of your amazing journey. Love it, embrace it, and keep going. You know.
I appreciate you. So let's wrap this up. I'm gonna do a little outro real quick, and then we'll cut out. So, you know, before we end this video, guys, this interview, I really hope y'all enjoyed it. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel as well as hit that notification button to get notified for more content that I put out. So if you're enjoying the video, be sure to like and leave a comment and let us know your thoughts on everything here that we spoke about. So on that note, y'all, enjoy your life.
I'm feeling great and feel the vibe. I'm really grateful we alive. And I'm feeling great cause lately I've been on the way to something great. And I feel alive cause I create like every day and I'm on today.